This is the backtest tab, and as it tells you, you enter a ticker in the top left corner. Let's enter the ticker Microsoft. Across the top, you'll pick your backtest length. If you click 3 years, you can actually see the dates fill in. You can also go to any dates you like. These are calendars. Here is where you would enter your days to expiration. That is the length of the options you want to backtest. This is not a closing rule. So if you were to put 1 day to expiration, TradeMachine would simply look for the options that are the closest to 1 day to expiration, which will probably be a week. Now we're ready for a backtest. So let's backtest a 30-day option in Microsoft over the last 3 years. We'll get a call and we'll go long. This backtest is testing the results of being long a 30-day call and then rolling it every 30 days in Microsoft for the last 3 years. Of course, Microsoft is one of the Magnificent Seven, one of the largest companies in the world, which has been going straight up. So just buying calls is probably gonna make money over this 3-year period. And you can see the 60 delta calls had a total return of 72%. The at the money calls, the 50 delta calls, had 153%. This is the same tile, 1550. The 30 delta calls, 574%, and the 20 delta calls, 868%. And please don't consider this an actual option strategy. It's not a useful backtest to look at a stock that has gone straight up and see if buying calls had worked. One thing I'll draw your attention to is the deltas, 60, 50, 50, 30, and 20. Those numbers came from the settings that we had here, 60, 50, 50, 30, and 20. We can change those if we like. You can always see the details behind a backtest by just clicking on the tile. And now you can see how the stock has done. It started at $203. It is, as of July 25th, $337. Here are the details of all of the trades. And you can actually see every single trade step by step across all 3 years. And you can even download them into Excel. But what if we wanted to backtest more than one ticker? For example, the entire Magnificent Seven. We can enter all 7 tickers on the same backtest. And now TradeMachine won't show you tiles. It'll show you the results in a list. But the question is, which delta is being tested here? If you recall, when we were doing Microsoft, there were 5 different choices. And you can see that it's choosing the 50 deltas. That is the middle delta. That's what will be chosen when you're doing a multi-stock backtest. That's why these are circled in blue. If you were doing a spread, it would do a 50-30 spread, but we'll get to that. All right, so far we have looked at some of the functionality of the backtest tab, but we haven't really done anything particularly interesting. Let's go down to earnings handling. Nothing special means TradeMachine is not paying attention to earnings at all. Let's do the opposite. Let's do this exact same trade, but always avoid earnings. That is 2 days before any earnings, all positions are closed. There's a 4-day blackout window, and then 2 days after earnings, those options can be opened again. We'll do never trade earnings. All right. We can also do only trade earnings, which is to say only trade 2 days before earnings all the way through 2 days after earnings. These would be only earnings speculations. But let's do something more interesting. Let's do custom earnings. Here we will open this call 14 days before earnings, and we will close it 1 day before earnings. This is a pre-earnings momentum trade. Let's see what we get. We see in total a 49% win rate, and the average 2-week trade is 20%. That's pretty good. But let's go further. Let's go down the left side of the backtest tab, and let's go to the stops and limits. Let's say if there's a 40% gain on any trade, we'll close it, and equally if there's a 40% loss, we'll close it. And let's go back to the results. What was once a 49% win rate now goes to 57%, and the average trade remains a 20% win over 2 weeks. And let's go further into the power of the backtest tab. We'll go to the technical open, and now we will revisit the remarkable finding we found about our proprietary measure of skew and kurtosis. We will add the 1-year kurtosis, and we'll say only open this trade not only if it's 14 days before earnings, but also if and only if the past year kurtosis is greater than 1. We can see now a 69% win rate, and the average trade has now gone up to 29% in just 14 days. And now you're starting to see the power of the backtest tab. We started with some trivialities. Then we looked at a pre-earnings momentum trade, which we have discussed for the last 7 years. Then we added stops and limits to increase the win rates. And finally, we touched on some of the most remarkable data we have ever come across, taking the win rates from 49% to 69%, and the average trade from 20% to 29% over just 14 days. Now let's explore more sophisticated strategies. Let's take this down to two stocks, Microsoft and Apple. So we can see that over the last 3 years, Microsoft has 5 wins, 3 losses, with a 75.6% total return, and Apple's got 6 wins and 4 losses and 125% return. Let's now go to creating a custom strategy. Click the custom button. In this case, let's look at a calendar call spread. So let's get long a 50 delta call, that's an at the money call, 14 days to expiration. So this is still a 14-day call. But now I also want to get short a further out of the money call, 30 delta, with 7 days to expiration. We'll call this a call diagonal spread. And I want to close the entire strategy when the 7-day options expire. So this 14-day option and the 7-day option will close at the same time. But we'll keep all the same rules we had to open 14 days before earnings. Microsoft has gone from 5 wins and 3 losses and a 70% return to 136% return. And Apple has gone from 6 wins and 4 losses and 125% return to 8 wins and 2 losses with 189% return. And that's by using a custom strategy that we've created. So now we're getting more in-depth use of the backtest tab. If we like these two backtests and would like to get alerted when Microsoft and Apple are 14 days before earnings, if and only if the kurtosis in the past year is greater than 1, we can now click Add Alert. And this will take us to the Alerts tab. You can see the tickers, Microsoft and Apple, days before earnings, 14 days before earnings, with the technical setting that kurtosis over the last year is greater than 1. I'll get an email and I can get a text message as well. I'll even write myself a note. Pre-earnings call diagonal. The TradeMachine link is included in there, and now I'll click Add Alert. And now I've created 2 more alerts. When Apple and Microsoft are 14 days before earnings, if their kurtosis over the last year is greater than 1, I will get an alert for each of them. Let's go back to the backtest tab. So we've seen a plain vanilla long call. We've created a custom strategy. You can use any other built-in strategy or create your own strategy in the backtest tab. But while some traders like to create their own trades, others prefer to see backtests which have been vetted by the CML team. And that's how we go to the Pro Scanner. In the Pro Scanner, you can choose which ticker group you're looking at. Let's do the NASDAQ 100. And then you can choose from dozens of strategies, whether it's strategies that never trade earnings, so they always avoid earnings, or that only trade earnings, or that come right after earnings, or that are before earnings. So for example, the 14 days pre-earnings long call is actually a scan. And if you click on it, you'll see the results from the NASDAQ 100 that have performed well over the last year, 2 years, and 3 years. And you can choose any time periods you like. Sort by ticker, sort by the number of wins, and if you like any of these trades, you can simply check them and add them to alerts. Add 3 alerts. Just created 3 alerts from the Scan tab. You don't just have to search by strategy. You can search by ticker. So for example, if you're interested in looking at the results of the Magnificent 7, we can just enter those 7 tickers. And the Pro Scanner will pull up every single strategy that has worked for all of these tickers. You can add as many tickers as you like and scroll through them. You can sort by ticker if you like, or you can sort by strategy. For example, if you wanted to look at 1 month after earnings technical short put spreads and see which companies it works for. Or you can look at the backtests that have had the most wins in these companies, or the highest win rate, or the largest average trade return. So you can go by ticker or by strategy. But perhaps we want to do a little bit more investigating. Let's take a look at the fade the dip technical trade, and let's look at Adobe. We just click on the ticker and this strategy will open in the backtest tab. So what is this trade? Well, it looks like it's short a put spread, and it looks like it's the 40-30 delta put spread. Looks like it never trades earning, but there are some technicals. Let's see what those are. This backtest waits for the day that the stock crosses up through the 200-day moving average, which means it was below the 200-day moving average and came up through it. The stock is also above the 10-day exponential moving average, and the RSI is less than 70, so it's not overbought. This technical condition, or combination of technical conditions, we call fading the dip. So it's a stock that is recovering its 200-day moving average with short-term momentum, and we're selling the put spread. And these are the results for Adobe. Now we've seen a use of the backtest tab to look at a long call pre-earnings, to use a custom strategy pre-earnings, to look at getting short a put spread, never trading earnings with a special technical open. We've added alerts from the backtest tab. We've added alerts from the Pro Scan tab. So we've done the Backtest tab, the Pro Scan tab, and the Alerts tab. Now we'll do the Today tab. The Today tab takes a subset of the strategies in the scanner and looks for those that are triggering on the day. You can actually read a definition of what is the Today tab by clicking on the link. This takes us to the Learn tab, and it tells us that the Today tab has a selection of some of the pre-built strategies in the scanner and checks every 30 minutes during market hours to see if anything is triggering. And just like alerts, these strategies are scanned intraday. As powerful as the Backtest tab is, that is the brains of TradeMachine, and the Pro Scanner is a subset of the Backtest tab, the Today tab is a subset of the Pro Scan tab. And when you log into TradeMachine, you will first land here to see which tickers and which strategies are triggering right now. And that is the Today tab and an overview of the power and the functionality of TradeMachine. From the brains in the Backtest tab to the Pro Scanner, which takes the hundreds of millions of different interactions you can have on the Backtest tab to thousands, and then combined with alerts, turns into the Today tab, which takes those thousands or hundreds of thousands into hundreds. Thanks for watching.